The Rhythm Surfer minigame is back, and for a lot of people who just aren't into rhythm games or aren't very good at them, it's okay because you can get most of the reputation missions and most of these S ranks by just autoing or mashing. So basically, the way auto works is that when you auto, it doesn't count for these S ranks, but it does count for score. So some of these missions, like clear this on hard difficulty with however many points, you can just auto and it will clear this for you, provided that you have enough score, which really just with the free units autoing, it's doable, especially once Frida is unlocked. You could also mash for that score, of course. We don't have all of the reputation missions here yet. I'm going to show some screenshots from the last year, because not all of them were obtainable via just mashing, but these are the ones that we have so far. The only one that's really hard on this one is probably Frozen Eclipse on hard with S rank. The rest of these are all pretty simple, I would say. So here are some of the achievements from last year, which I assume would be the same this year. This one, the 10 Covenant bookmarks behind Invincible are hard difficulty with rank S or above, which of course is doable via mashing, but this was the only reward, I think, that wasn't a profile that was behind something, or like a profile reward that was behind something that could be considered difficult to do, but since you could mash for it, it wasn't really a huge deal. This was the only one though. Everything else you can see, this one is like, you can't mash this, you have to actually play. This is supposed to be the hardest achievement here, that's why it says conquered. And you get a little Hwoyoung thing for doing it. 500,000 points in Chasing a Starlight on hard, with these 4 specific units. Also not counted towards all achievements, this was supposed to be hard to get. So this is definitely one of the ones that you can't necessarily get. And then all of these are just quantity ones. You can just play a bunch, you can just auto a bunch, or just mash a bunch. Total points is total points, pretty self-explanatory. You just play and you get this. And then your best score is the total sum of your high scores across all songs. I don't remember if this is across all difficulties too, but pretty much if you just play every single song, you'll be able to fill this up relatively easily. So these are the achievements that are missing that we can't see yet. And I think it's really nothing too bad, besides this one that I mentioned is supposed to be the hard one. This is the only, like, reward that you might miss out on, unless they've moved some of the rewards around, or the ones that require some semblance of gameplay. So first up, the mashing strat. I'm going to go over how to do this on PC client, at least for setting up the controls, but I much prefer doing it on emulator. I highly recommend doing it on emulator. But for the PC client, you can see your lane controls here. Unfortunately, you do have to bind each lane to a different key. And then on the skills, you can... Oh, this was supposed to be S, and I think this was D. And for the skills, by default, they're set to V and N. You can bind it to whatever you prefer. Like having it like this way it's just in a straight line. But the PC client is mostly meant for actually playing the songs. If you're trying to cheese it, I highly recommend jumping over to emulator, which we will do in a little bit. First, let's go over all of these units. So when you assign a unit to your team, you have soul burns and passive effects. Depending on whether you own the unit, you will get the passive effects. If you don't own them, you won't. Units in the active slot, the middle two, you'll be able to soul burn, and they have different effects. I would say Mercedes and Shu are the best ones for when you are autoing, just because, or not when you're autoing, for when you're mashing, because this changes all of your goods to perfects, and then this one just gives you perfects for 15 seconds, so you can take a little bit of a break. So these are definitely the preferred ones for when you are mashing, and then when you are auto battling, it's going to be Festivita, and you can't see her yet, but it's Frida. You can see her skills here. It's 24% score bonus on perfects, and then 12% score bonus passive. So these ones, or Festivita and Frida rather, boost your score by a ton. These are definitely the best ones for when you're pumping up your score. You've also got Hwoyoung, who is a decent scorer, but not as good as Frida. And then also changes miss to a perfect one time, basically a little safety net for if you mess up. And then Aruka, who lets you soul burn at the start of the stage for Soulburn is a slightly worse version of Frida's. So if you're trying to go for score, which some of the reputations aren't in the game yet, like I mentioned, but definitely wait for Frida for those. And now we'll switch over to Emulator just to take a look at the mashing strat. So here we are on Emulator. For Emulator, you'll notice there's nowhere in the settings to set your controls. Instead, on the right-hand side here, this is where the game controls are. Before we do that though, first we're going to go in. It's going to go in, ignore everything, open the controls editor, click on tap spot, and we are just going to bind A, S, D, A, S, D, A, S, D, A, S, D, A, S, and D. And now all three of those keys will click all 5 lanes at the same time. You also want to bind your Soulburns. I have this bound to a different hand. So one hand is mashing, one hand is clicking on the Soulburns. This is just so you can do everything while on the keyboard. So for now, we're going to yield, and I'm going to full screen this real quick. So we are back. Let's go ahead and go in. If you're aiming for accuracy, I would say you want Arunka plus Hwayoung, especially if you own them, just because Hwayoung gives you a little bit of safety net, changes the miss to a perfect one time. This is really nice for me because I keep on dropping my combo. I think it's an issue with my emulator. And then Arunka lets you instantly Soulburn, Shu, and Mercedes. I'm going to take Hwayoung off though, just because not everyone's going to have her. Shu gives you all good or higher notes perfect for 15 seconds, and then Mercedes' all notes are perfect for 15 seconds. Make sure your auto Soulburn is off, and then we'll head in. You want to just hold down one note at all times so we can hit the yellow notes, and then whenever you see notes, just start tapping away. Don't mash super fast because this does track your accuracy. We're hoping for perfects, but even just crits would be fine. We're waiting for Mercedes Soulburn to come up, which should be relatively soon. I'm just going to start preemptively pressing it. This is our break time. We're waiting for that counter on the right to get down to 26, and then we will start mashing again and get ready to activate Shu Soulburn as well. So the reason I think that this is a lot better on the PC client, or the emulator compared to the PC client, is because on the PC client, you can't really hold down every single lane at once, so the yellow notes are guaranteed misses, and also it's just straight up a lot easier, I think, because instead of pressing like 5 keys to cover everything, you're only pressing 2. And of course, once you're neither of your Soulburns are active, I would do the same thing, try and hit the notes, at least, instead of just mashing away. But at least while she was up, you can mash. And like I said, it does track your accuracy, so it's not really like a guaranteed S rank. It is going to depend a little bit on how you play. But even if you can't get the S ranks, it's just 5 Skystones, and I went over all of the achievements earlier for which ones you'd miss out on for not S ranking. We got our full combo, which actually does not guarantee you an S rank. We were pretty close there, 91%. Having this many goods does drag your score down a decent bit. So it's not a guaranteed S rank, but definitely good enough if you're somebody who just doesn't play any rhythm games. Unfortunately, you do have to do every single difficulty, which kind of sucks. You can see on the reputations here. Like I said, we don't have all of them. Frozen Eclipse I haven't done S rank yet, but the rest of them I've done a bit. And now for autoing, which I would say isn't super useful, but it does work for some of these reputation missions. Like this one here, it says, where did it go? Clear the Starborn on hard difficulty with 160,000 points or above. And here I have just barely over 160,000 points, because this is my alt account with not that many units unlocked, and also we don't have Frida yet. Like I said, Frida boosts your score by a pretty good amount, but we made it, and you can see I have no ranking because autoing does not count for your rank. Every single node is a perfect, and it does not give you any sort of accuracy ranking, which is why I don't have the Skystones either. But this did count towards clearing the achievement for it. So you can use this for some of the achievements if you want, or for the reputation that I showed earlier, where you're just racking up your total points. The only thing to keep in mind though is autoing does cost you 30 energy, so you might not want to just spend all of your stuff autoing. So the setup when you're autoing is, of course, you're just pumping score. So you would put Frida in the middle, and then put the people that help you with your score on the sides. Just put Frida here, Shu and Runka can help a little bit with your score. And that's pretty much it. The rhythm game event, which I usually enjoy rhythm games, but this Note Speed 8 and some other things like the score blocking the lane and the angle of the lane are kind of killing me. It genuinely hurts my eyes, or it strains my eyes if I play this for too long, so I'm probably not playing it much this year. But hopefully this is able to help anybody who is struggling with the rewards, at least get some of them. The mashing should get you at least these 10 Skystones from normal. Easy should be doable for anybody, and most of the reputation missions you will hopefully be able to obtain as well.